And we are live with the Gridiron Football's annual Friday night Ballin in the Boot. I'm your host, Jace LeJeune. And as always, we always get a lot of surprises when we have a show like this. We bring on a lot of coaches week in, week out. And usually when you're on the show, when you come on the show, that means you've done something pretty good. That's a good thing when you see this face when you see this face on the show. And we're going to bring on our first coaching guest. It's playoff edition, so we only got to start off right when we talk about the playoffs. And we're bringing in Coach PJ Sprunk from Haynes Academy, bringing him on. Coach, congratulations. Like I mentioned, if you're on the show, that means you've done something pretty good. You know, won yourself a playoff game here tonight. So congratulations, Coach, on the victory. And it's all about surviving in advance, and that's what y'all did tonight.
That's it, man. Thanks so much for having us on. Just super proud of these kids, this program, these coaches. A lot of hard work went into tonight, and it all kind of showed off.
And Coach, I think y'all dominated this football game. Y'all was it a shutout tonight?
Yeah, final was 41-0. Abramson was a very talented, had some athletes, some very talented team. They Coach Chargman did a great job with them. They ended up pulling out 6 wins this year, and our guys were just prepared. We worked very hard for times like this, and it kind of showed tonight.
Yeah, Coach. Last year, the team had such great success, and you coming over from Kenner to Haynes Academy, and just kind of building off the momentum they had last year with the undefeated regular season, but they didn't win a playoff game last year. So, how important was it for this program to get over that hump and get that playoff win?
Yeah, it was huge, and this was actually our first playoff win ever in school history.
Yeah.
Our guys wanted it. That was one of their goals they set early in the year. And we wanted to make sure we did whatever we can to put them in the best possible position to succeed and make sure that happened. And that's what happened tonight.
Absolutely. Final score 41-0, correct?
Yes, sir.
41-0 Haynes Academy over Abramson Sci Academy here tonight. Coach, I know we talk about obviously your defense had yourself a great game. Anytime you pitch an opponent out the end zone and shut them down, that's really great. But I guess that's where we'll start first. So talk about the defense and how they performed tonight.
Our defense has been kind of up against the wall, pretty much all year long. They've battled week in, week out, and just never could put a full game together. And we finally did tonight. I think we held them to either 1 or 2 first downs. Our guys were all over the field, playing physical, tackling well. I think we had 2 interceptions and I think a turnover on I think a fumble recovery later on in the game as well. But, our guys flew around. Our junior linebacker, Carter Sternberger, ended up setting the school record in tackles tonight. So it was a big game for him. And we're simulating on the defensive side of the ball, too, and our guys just played really well. You could tell they wanted it, and we're extremely proud of them.
Yeah, I'm glad Carter's having himself a great season. I know we saw him at their Gridiron Football camp at John Curtis, and he had himself a great showing. Looked like he's having a great season. And I know he's going to be playing in the bowl game for us at the end of the year. But Zach, talk about him as well.
Yeah, Zach's a guy that's all over the field for us. I know he's committed to playing the bowl game, and he's well deserving. Zach's played everything from linebacker, outside linebacker, strong safety. We blitzed him off the edge. He's done just about everything. Free safety, anything we've asked him to do, he's done for us. He actually plays a little bit of running back too in certain packages. So he's a great athlete. Works really hard in the weight room. I know he plays baseball too, so he's always working. Great kid. He's well deserved.
And Coach, talk about the offense tonight. One half of the equation is, of course, shutting out the opponent, but you have to score too, and scored over 40 points tonight. Talk about the offense, how they performed tonight.
Yeah, our offense really clicked the last few weeks. All year long, Trent Hellwig and Brady Cribby have kind of led the charge back there, but all of our guys. I think this is the 3rd or 4th straight week we scored over 40 points. Tonight, I believe Cribby had 164 yards rushing, I believe it was. And Trent actually went over 1,000 yards rushing tonight as well for the season. He was actually out 3 games this year with some injuries, and Trent's a game changer when he's playing, and him and Brady kind of led the charge. But our offensive line has been very, very good and solid, consistent across the board all year long. So it's a great team effort tonight.
Absolutely, that's what you want to do, and all the phases of the game dominate, get that first playoff victory. And what was just like the crowd, the environment like tonight, and just trying to soak in something special. I know it really meant a lot to you to get the program this first ever playoff victory.
Yeah, the crowd was electric. We, our student section is always loud, and they're always cheering really loud for us. Our parents, for a lot of our parents that are senior parents, they, the last 4 or 5 years, they've wanted this, and I know it's a great goal for them. So I'm glad we could bring it to them. We have some of the best fans around. It was a big tailgate before the game started, and my wife, who's always right in the middle of everything, she holds it down during the season. So she's over here, so I got to make sure I say that, or I'm gonna get in trouble. So
Yeah, you're a smart man. You're a smart man.
no, but it was great. I mean, our crowd was awesome. They've been like that all year long, so we can't ask for a better group of people.
Yeah, Coach. I know you've done a lot of great stuff, and not only this year, but what you did at Cairn Discovery as well, and kind of building up a program, right? That hasn't achieved a lot of success. That's kind of like up and coming. But yeah, I guess just talk about kind of the keys of that, and maybe some of the stuff you learned along the way. I mean, back when you were playing high school, playing for the GOAT, playing for JT Curtis, and kind of what you learned along those lines to build some of these programs.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's still things I do daily, that I've learned from those guys over there, and they're the best to ever do it. So why not want to implement what they do? My time at Kim Discovery was great. I learned a lot as a coach there. Starting a program was fun. Those kind of things, when you start in a program, the challenges are different. They're a lot bigger every day. But I was blessed enough to be there and make the move this off season, and couldn't ask for a better place. Haynes is a phenomenal place. Great students, administration. Our athletic director Paul Longo was a former football coach, so he's always looking for us, everything we need. And it's a great coaching staff, and everything down to the great athletic trainer. So we across the board, it's a great place to be. And again, I'm just proud to be here.
Well, Coach, it's not like you get like a prize or anything, like when you first playoff win in program history. What does that get you? That gets you a matchup with Archbishop Shaw, only the defending state champion. So it doesn't get any easier. But Coach, your early thoughts. I know you're soaking into this win, and rightfully so. But I know tomorrow starting to watch some film and on Archbishop Shaw and Coach Tierney, a legend in the sport. But what are your thoughts on early thoughts on next week against Shaw?
Hey, what a reward, huh?
Right.
No. Listen, Coach Hank's been doing it for a long time. He's one of the best to ever do it. Our kids are excited for the challenge, though. We don't shy away from anything, and we're going to put a game plan together and do everything we can to make these kids successful and go out and do the best we can and let the cards fall where they may.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, just any final thoughts before we let you on your way and go back to your family?
No, as always, I want to give a special shout out to my coaching staff. These guys all year long have absolutely done anything. They go above and beyond for these kids that's not on their normal rate of pay. So I'm going to give them a quick shout out by name. It's because they say I never do that. So I want to make sure I first say Coach Kenny Green, who is always giving me a lot of crap about that. But no, Coach Kenny Green, Coach Mike Mendoza, Coach Steve Stropolo, Coach Paul Longo Jr., Coach Patty Lewis, and Coach Ty Buggage, and of course our athletic trainer, Ms. Simone. We want to make sure that they're all mentioned. They take care of our kids. So super proud of these guys being in my corner.
Absolutely. Being around the sport as well. I mean, I've heard the saying goes that a head coach is only good as their staff is. So I'm glad you're able to mention your whole coaching staff too. And speaking of that, I guess Andy decided not to make you a head coach this year because you beat him this year. So I guess there's some animosity there.
He's still a little salty. He said I couldn't be a head coach because he lost him,
Well, be proud of that 1-0 record, Coach.
I'll make sure he remembers when I get up there this year.
Oh yeah, make sure to rub it in. Please rub it in. But Coach, congratulations on the victory, and hopefully we keep it going and see y'all next week. A big matchup next week against Archbishop Shaw. But congratulations on the huge victory for the program. And there is Coach PJ Sprunk. Having him on the show. Appreciate Coach Sprunk for spending a couple minutes with us to kickstart our show. Jock Boudreaux mentioned Acadiana versus St. Aug. Oh, get your popcorn ready, Jock. That's going to be a big one. We'll talk about that a lot, either on this show or on Monday's show. Remember, myself and Spencer Ferret on Mondays, we'll go live and we'll talk about the next round and preview the next round of matchups. But before we go into and dive deep into all the scores and everything that's going on, I'm bringing our correspondent on now, Gridiron Football. He's able to cover the game here tonight, Roman Clark. I'm going to bring Roman on the show. Roman, what's going on, man?
What's going on? I'm great. How about you, man?
I've been good. It was a blowout on my end. I called Episcopal and De La Salle, and it was all De La Salle. So it was my Episcopal VSN play calling duties are over this year, but we'll see what we have left throughout the rest of the playoff run. But tonight you went to go see, was it Central in Dutchtown?
Yes, it was. Central Dutchtown. Central came out with the win.
Absolutely. What was the final score?
52-24.
52-24. I'm kind of starting to look at all the scores and everything that's going around the state of Louisiana, but a huge win for Central, 52-24. It was one of those rare inner city Baton Rouge playoff matchups that we saw when we broke down all the scores and everything that was going on. But yeah, it was totally domination by Central. Obviously, Roman, a little bit of chip on Central's shoulder because they are the defending state champions in Division I non-select, and they want to show like, hey, we were the defending state champion for a reason. It was like they made that point tonight.
Absolutely. You could tell the game was very chippy, teams going back and forth, it was rivalry type of game. It was definitely that playoff environment, and Central, of course, was dominant. Their offense was really what won them the game tonight.
Yeah, you talk about their offense, and I believe, have they been still rotating both quarterbacks, or do they stick with one tonight?
They switched up towards the end, but they did go with number.
They went with they go with the Alexandria transfer, I believe.
Yes, that would be yes.
Yeah.
And they subbed in number 13 who scored the touchdown late.
Gotcha. Okay. What made it work tonight against Dutchtown offensively? What was working tonight for Central?
Well, Brody Knapp's had a massive game. He 3 touchdowns on the day. Anytime that he got onto that goal line area, it seemed to be a touchdown for sure, guaranteed. Also, Keithan Womack was a great receiver. They went to him a lot on back-to-back plays. He felt like he was a whole drive sometimes.
Yeah.
Both of them were big parts of this offense.
Defensively, this was a strong team last year. I don't think there was probably a more dominant defense in the state than Central last year, Now they had to replace a whole lot of guys on the defense from last year. A lot of studs are playing. The Mays twins are both playing college football at the next level. But what have you seen from them defensively tonight?
I mean, their defense, especially in that third quarter, that's really when they woke up. The first half, they were sitting a little dormant, kind of getting into it. But that third quarter, they had 3 takeaways. You had 2 interceptions by Camden Rankin in that third quarter, so that was big, as well as like a block punt. I mean, their defense was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I mean, total domination, 52-24. So was it one of those games where was it like pretty early? You knew this was going to be a long day for Dutchtown, or was it just like over the course of how did this play out as far as like Central pulling away from this one?
Well, as I was talking about, Central was always ahead in this game. They were always leading, but it was that third quarter they really started hammering down on them. They scored 8 of their 9 drives, so they were only stopped once, and that was in the third quarter, and it was followed by that interception.
Okay.
So it was really that third quarter they pulled away, and it was really in that third quarter so much that they ended up subbing in that backup number 13 that I was talking about at the end of it.
Okay, so kind of a early look since before I talk about the next round for Central, any final thoughts on this first round game? Anything else of note that we didn't talk about? Anything we need to bring up about this first round playoff win for Central?
I mean, not too much. You can tell it's playoff time. A lot more complimentary football that is being played. Teams are looking very much more complete and really polished.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And you go from one inner city matchup, which is I guess is good for Central. I mean, they are playing opponents that they're kind of used to, but you go from playing Dutchtown to playing East Ascension. So that is who they'll play next round. Now, I believe Roman, you've seen East Ascension play this year, right?
Yes, I have.
So knowing that you've seen both Central and East Ascension, give me a kind of a quick preview on what you think is going to happen between those two teams next week.
Well, shout out East Ascension, but I feel like they got a long week coming up for them personally. I think this Catholic team is the real deal. They won last year. They still look great this year. As I said, the complimentary football, that's really what wins those games, is just playing on both sides. And I think that Catholic team was some of the best at it. So I think East Ascension has a long week coming up for them.
Okay, very interesting. Central trying to win the state championship, trying to repeat, and they got some tough customers. I talked about it. I think they won't go really far, but have a chance to win this next round game and go from there. But a huge win for Coach David Semino and the Central Wildcats, getting a 52-24 win over Dutchtown. I know Roman will have an article more. I know he posted some of the highlights throughout the game on X. You can go and check those out. And then you can go to gridironfootballusa.com. I know Roman will have an article about that game and a breakdown on that one as well. Roman, continue the good work, my man. And I guess we'll be chatting next week as well.
Absolutely. Thank you as always.
Absolutely. Roman Clark, correspondent for us at Gridiron Football. So appreciate Roman, and we'll see him as well throughout the playoffs, our correspondent here at Gridiron Football that is covering a lot of the games throughout the state of Louisiana. Well, guys, if you have a comment, I know we're about to go into the scores, and we'll see if we have any more coaches. It's kind of you don't have as much matchups because it's the first round. There's a lot of buys. We'll see how many coaches will come on board tonight. We had a packed show with coaches last week. We already talked to Coach PJ Sprunk, if you just joined us, as Haynes Academy did get a win over Sci Academy. That was one of the games we talked about. But we'll go over all the scores because I know a lot of people tuning in want to know who is surviving, who's advancing to the next round, who's playing and practicing, preparing for another week of football. So with that being said, before we go into those scores, we're going to take our first commercial break of the show, and we can't have the show without our friends at Tommy's Windows. So make sure if you're looking for new windows, door replacing, you need gutters replaced, anything replaced really that needs to be replaced, and make sure to go to gotommys.com. That's GEAUX Tommys.com. You call them, you give them a call, 225-250-8808. You can give them a call and you'll see the difference clearly. Award-winning, you look at the Angie's List awards over the last couple of years, really since 2016, they are award-winning. So make sure to go to gotommys.com. Might as well go to some of the best around, over 20 years of experience. Go see Tommy Kissinger and the rest of his crew. We'll be right back after commercial break as you're watching Ball in the Boot. We'll be right back with some playoff scores around the state of Louisiana.
Operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back to Ball in the Boot. I'm your host, Jace LeJeune. We're going to go and approach some of the comments. Like I mentioned, if you have any comments about any scores, any updates, we'll go over the entire scoreboard and break these down. But if you have any comments, make sure to chime in the chat section. We already got a couple comments. I'll address them before we go into the high school scoreboard. First, we're going to have Jock Boudreaux. I know Jock Boudreaux covers a lot of Acadiana Wrecking Ram football, so proud support of the show. Appreciate Jock for chiming in. We were talking about this earlier this week on Facebook, but Acadiana St. Aug, that is going to be a great one. Acadiana, I kind of felt bad because you had to go and play your arch nemesis, your arch rivals, Karen Crow, in the first round, back-to-back weeks, and of course, Acadiana found a way to win that football game. It was close. It was close between the Wrecking Rams and the Golden Bears tonight. And your reward, you got to play St. Augustine. But if there is a team that can beat them, it would not shock me. Acadiana goes on a little bit of a run right here because this is when we know Acadiana, we know about their state championship pedigree. Even though a new coach, this is a coach that's been a quarterback at Acadiana. His dad, Bill Dotson, is the name on the stadium. So he knows exactly what Acadiana Wrecking Ram football is. It's tough, hard-nosed, and that's the type of style that you want to play in December. So we'll talk about the second round matchups a little bit. We'll go more in detail on Monday with Spencer from the LHSAA Network, and we'll break that down on Monday. So make sure to check in on our Monday show because we will be adding the Monday element every week as we go to the road to the Dome each and every week. Earl Landry, we talk about ERAF. ERAF 56-0. I know he corrected it. 56-0 tonight for ERAF. As if you are watching this and watching this live, you probably have seen an article from us earlier this week. So Earl Landry, I know we talked about Jack. Well, the quarterback is Jack Landry. Jack is committed to play in a Gridiron Football All-American game. So we're excited about Jack. He's really deserving of it. And look at the season he's having. I mean, he's leading the Bobcats to their first undefeated season in program history. And man, I don't know what colleges are looking at because I'm watching Jack Landry play and he is the real deal. I mean, he got the size, he's got the frame, the arm. I mean, the release is effortless. I mean, there is a reason why ERAF is undefeated, folks. And we're really excited about Jack coming aboard, playing in the bowl game, and really excited about him. And I think he's going to show his stuff not only in the bowl game. I think he's going to show his stuff across this playoff run. But a 56-0 win for the Bobcats. Congratulations, Coach LeBlanc, in the Bobcats. They're keeping their undefeated season rolling at 11-0. So with that being said, let's go into the Louisiana High School scoreboard. Like I mentioned, folks, if you have a score, you have a question, you have a comment, if you want to know what your team did tonight, make sure to comment below. We appreciate you joining us. I know we got a lot of people tuning in right now all over the place. We are on Facebook, X, YouTube. So make sure to share it out. Make sure to like, share. Whether you're watching us on Facebook, X, or YouTube, make sure to subscribe to us or follow us, whatever platform you are watching the show tonight. It does us a big favor. So make sure you go and do that. We really appreciate it. We want you to be more involved. So we want the fans to be involved. We have coaches calling in. We have media members coming in. So we want the fans to be involved as well. So make sure to interact with us. Make sure to leave comments as we go the high school scoreboard. All right. We bring the high school scoreboard on here. Get this popped up for y'all guys. Let's look at some of the scores around the state of Louisiana. Let's get this thing started. All right, here we go. Y'all should be seeing the screen of scores. We'll go over just initial scores. And a lot of times, I'm just seeing these scores for the first time as you're seeing these scores. So we're going to be going through it. But we'll be here tonight until 12:30 tonight to go over some of these scores, some of the playoff matchups, stuff like that. So let's get to it. Lutcher, they take care of business in their first round playoff game, Division II non-select. I know it's been a tough start to the season for Coach Dwayne Jenkins, but they certainly have picked it up over the course of the season. They get a 49-7 win over Iota, and I believe from what I've heard, Lutcher just kind of cruised their way to this victory. Cruise control in the second half, running clock and everything. But Lutcher gets a 49-7 win over Iota. Vinton and DeQuincy. Vinton and DeQuincy played last week, and just like I talked about Acadiana and Karen Crow, they had to play again just a week later. Sometimes it gets an advantage to the losing team from the week before, but Vinton taking care of business. It was actually a close game last time, and a lot of people are saying upset alert for DeQuincy, but Vinton, the higher seed, does survive, and they win more convincingly against DeQuincy, making sure that that first win was not a fluke. That was for sure 28-0 over DeQuincy. Welsh, they get a victory over Lake Arthur. Remember, Lake Arthur ended their regular season on a forfeit to LCA. So this is their first game since week 8 for Lake Arthur, but it was all Welsh showing their stuff 38-23. We have Delta Charter. I believe this was a seeding upset. I believe St. Martin's was the higher seed here, but Delta Charter pulls off the upset 28-15 over St. Martin's Episcopal to advance to the second round. This was a game to watch out for. If you watch the Ball in the Boot Monday show, this was a game we previewed. We talked about, myself and Spencer, because of the history between these two teams. Last year, this was a match of Kentwood Vermilion Catholic. That was for the Division IV select semifinals for a chance to go to the state championship game. And it was all Vermilion Catholic. Vermilion Catholic was able to shut out Kentwood to get to the Superdome. But I believe this is the first defending state champion to fall from last year. So there will not be a repeat this year for Vermilion Catholic as the Screaming Eagles. Their season comes to an end as the Kentwood Kangaroos get their revenge on the Screaming Eagles, 28-13. I reached out to Coach Blunt, see if we can get him on the show tonight. If not, all okay. Like I said, the show is kind of like a winged show. It's really cool to get we get a lot of great coaches coming on and talking. But hey, if I have to talk the next hour and a half about the scores, we'll do that as well. So 28-13, Kentwood gets the win over Vermilion Catholic, gets revenge from last year. St. Frederick gets a 49-6 win over Cedar Creek. St. Frederick, a convincing win over the Cougars over there at Cedar Creek, 49-6, your final score there. But here we go. Another upset. Westminster Christian, this is the one in Lafayette. They get a 26-21 win over Sacred Heart. So your final score there, 26-21. We had Coach on the show actually last week talking about a big win to end the regular season against Vermilion Catholic, we just talked about. But Westminster Christian gets the win tonight on an upset over Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart's had himself a great regular season under Coach Jacob Aguilar, but their season comes to an end tonight, 26-21, as Westminster Christian gets the upset win over Sacred Heart. Huge win for their program, and congratulations to the Chargers. St. Edmund, they cruise against Lincoln Prep. No trouble there for Coach Shiver and company. 62-18 over Lincoln Prep to advance in the next round. Easy like Sunday morning right there. Big time performance from the Blue Jays. They advance in the next round of the playoffs. I believe this is fourth quarter. Either way, I know Opelousas is Catholic. They got a 35-7 win over Ascension Christian. I'm going to try to check out and see if there was anything else. But I believe it was 35-7 against Ascension Christian. Either way, Opelousas Catholic moves on. They'll go and play another week. let's see. I was at this game. I called this game for Varsity Sports Now tonight. That's where my assignment was tonight. But 45-14, De La Salle over Episcopal. That game was pretty much dominated from the start. De La Salle, really impressed by them under Coach Graham Jarrett. I believe in every year as the head coach at De La Salle, they have won a playoff game, and he's continuing that streak over there at De La Salle. I was really impressed by their offensive line. They're big, they're physical. They got 3 great running backs that can all tote the rock. I mean, I believe they have all 3 of their running backs, or their 3 top running backs, have at least 500 yards or more rushing, which is pretty impressive, I gotta admit. But great win there for De La Salle, 45-14. Defense got the job done. It was kind of an up and down season, calling Episcopal all season long. It was a up and down season, but kudos to Travis Bourgeois for doing what he could with the team this year, and and with the team, and that puts an end. I believe they had 8 straight quarterfinal appearances as well. Well, we're going to have another coach on. Like I said, you never know what to expect from the show, as he's still coming on. But to talk about a huge playoff win, let's see. We get him on. Let's see. Here we go. Hey, Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, what's going on? A big win tonight. The Belaire Bengals get the job done. I tell you what, it's been a long time coming for Belaire fans, but the wait comes to an end tonight. Congratulations, Coach, on a huge playoff win for the program.
It was a great win, man. The first win since 2003. All I can give all the credit to my players and my assistant coaches. They put all the work in and let me enjoy this ride. You know, my first experience in the playoffs and get a win as a head coach is an amazing feeling. And all that's due to the hard work and dedication of my players and assistant coaches in the back and from administration.
Absolutely, Coach. What was the final score tonight?
Final score was 42-31.
42-31.
Yes, sir.
42-31. And first playoff win, like Coach mentioned, since 2003. Coach, I got a little bit of a trivia question for you. Do you know who the head coach was last time Belaire won a playoff game?
Hey, Coach, if you'd have asked me 3 days ago, I would have known it. But with all the excitement, I forgot about it right now. Our track guy, he's like the school statistician. And, man, he go back and he finds stuff all the time. The kids might say stuff. And it was like, no, this happened then.
Well, I'm gonna answer that trivia question for you, Coach. It's actually AKA my dad. My dad was the last coach, Coach Ron LeJeune.
If I lose you, it's because my phone went dead.
Okay, I got you. Well, we'll get you back on if your phone does die. So, but we'll get you real quick, Coach. Talk about the win and how you were able to get it done.
Came up, defense started off a little slow, but then they came around and started playing aggressive, relied on the run game. The linemen, Myron Robinson and Ja'Cory Freeman all did amazing jobs. Otis LaCour, Lamar Richard came up. We played McKinley. He had an interception, pick 6 to win the game. And this last second, he had a pick 6 to seal the victory. You know, you're just proud to see kids who've been in the program 4 years, dedicated themselves to it, making plays when the opportunity presents themselves.
Yeah, I mean, especially you have to go on the road as well. It wasn't like a home playoff game. I believe you have to go on the road right tonight. Coach, we might have lost Coach. Let's see. Coach, you still there? Well, it looks like we might have lost Coach, but that's what happens when we have going live and everything. But I just want to give a shout out to Belaire. They get a huge playoff win tonight. 42-31, first playoff win since 2003. Huge milestone for this program. Coach Metevia doing an awesome job with the Bengals. And like I mentioned, the trivia question there, Ron LeJeune was the last head coach to win a playoff game at Belaire, aka my dad. So that was the last time, 2003, they're able to get a playoff victory. So disconnected right there. I know he went dead. As far as his phone went dead. So we'll get Coach on another time, and hopefully we keep that playoff mojo going. But in the meantime, we're going to transfer to another coach that is on right now, Coach Tyler Lewis, and I think we're going to get Coach Tyler Lewis on with his heart rate. Make sure he's okay. I'm checking on you, Coach, to see your heart rate's okay after that one, because that was an entertaining one. Probably too entertaining for your taste, but y'all got the job done tonight.
That's the biggest thing, Jace, that we were able to finish. Our kids did not accept defeat. They were strong in the fourth quarter, but even stronger in overtime. So, like we said, any given Friday is playoff time. The biggest thing is getting the win and moving on next week.
Absolutely. And Coach, ought to play Natchitoches Central tonight. And knowing Natchitoches Central, they're going to be well coached. Brad Laird was the head coach in Northwestern State. So you knew it was going to be a challenge. And just what made them so tough, challenge for y'all tonight?
Well, they have a mobile quarterback, man. And he kind of got out of the pocket a good bit on us. We knew that going in. We kind of got undisciplined with our ends. But we were able to make the adjustment in the second half. I believe we only held them to like 20 rushing yards. And we were able to get the victory, man, at the end of the day.
Absolutely, Coach. 27-24, was that the score tonight? Okay.
Yes, that was the score.
Gotcha. 27-24. I heard, I'm just starting to kind of see all the scores and everything that's been going on, but I heard it was kind of a crazy ending. But before, I believe, even getting to overtime, it was a field goal that they were trying to rush, or the time went out in regulation.
Yep. So, they're, going into that last drive they had before overtime, they had a couple of fourth down plays, a couple of third down plays that kept their drive alive, and some of them was mistaken penalties on us, kind of crazy, stupid penalties, as we call them as coaches. And as the clock winding down, they're out of timeouts. So all we have to do is just keep them out of the end zone. What happened is there's about 25 seconds left. They dropped back in the pass, and he ended up taking a sack, man. And by this time, there was about 10 seconds left on the clock, and they're trying to run that PAT, that field goal team on, and they got down to about 5, and we know that. I was like, no, ain't no way they're going to get this off. We're not going to blow the time out. We're just going to trust that, we can go to get this game into overtime, something that, that we really wanted to do.
Yeah, talk about your player that made the sack. That's a huge play in that moment to get the sack and force them to be in scramble mode in that situation.
Right. I believe that was Julian Coleman that got to him. I'm not 100% sure. I believe Julian got to him, man. And that was big, man, because, that guy was mobile, but he's mobile enough where he can get receivers open and score that ball, right? I know they wanted to get in the end zone. They wasn't really trying to settle for the 3. We were able to step up big right there. That was huge for the defense, and even bigger for us that we were able to be disciplined and line up, waiting for the PAT, the field goal team, man, and not cause any dumb penalties right there. But it was major, man. And then going into overtime, Jace, the biggest thing was you understand the rules. First of all, understand the overtime rules. The kids got to understand that, that's things you kind of try to practice for situational wise, but you don't see it often. We ended up winning the toss, and we went on defense first. We had the momentum at that time, and I felt like, we had the bodies, that we needed to make that stop at the back end. They settled for the 3, which is a winner in overtime. All you got to do is, score the ball, and one of the things I did was that play that won the game was the first call from my OC, and I wasn't comfortable with it. I wasn't comfortable with it as a head coach, and I made an audible. I did. I made an audible on it. It might be, the best audible I probably made, because they know that we're gonna go to the Bear. They know we're gonna go to the Bear. Even before that, I take a step back. My kids, before we got on the field, they looked at me and they said, "Coach, I got a question." I said, "What you got, man?" They said, "Coach, score and we win." I said, "Score and we win." They looked at me and said, "Coach, we got you. You're gonna get this dub tonight. We're gonna get this dub tonight." And like I say, I changed the play, which set up them to stay in the box with Bear. And we ran that, and my OC snuck that one in on me because they had an injury time. I don't normally go in the huddles on timeouts and stuff. I don't get in the huddles, and he went back to it, man. It was a hell of a play call by him, and the kids trusted it. The kids executed it, and Terrence Diggs got in the end zone for the win.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see if I can pull up the video of it. But you mentioned Terrence Diggs, so scored the game-winning touchdown. I believe Chris Singleton had a video of it. But this is it. Terrence Diggs, so the game-winning touchdown and in overtime, and coach is like you mentioned, just surviving and advancing and finding a way. Like, you knew, like, had a chance. They couldn't win the game in regulation. It probably gave you really the team a sign of relief, saying, "Hey, we're going to overtime, and we're the better team. Find a way to win the game in overtime."
Ain't no doubt, man. Ain't no doubt. I got my kids together on the 50 on the knee, and we talked about that, man. That look, this is where the summer kicks in. This is where August kicks in, fall camp. This is where everything kicks in, man. If you say you want to get to New Orleans and win state titles, this is where it's going to be win. You got to be perfect. You got to be Terrebonne perfect. You got to bring the energy, man. This is where, if you want it, this is where we're going to find out if you want it, and that's exactly how it went, man. Our guys wanted it. And we got that, man. This is 4 years in the making, Jace. We finally made this is my fourth season. We made the playoff year 2. We ended up going to Westgate and losing. Come back the third year, we ended up hosting Chalmette and losing by 3 at home with the same seed, number 9 and then 20. So these kids really wanted this because they never got the opportunity to win a playoff game, man. And they really wanted it for me. Wholesomely, as a coach, we owe you this, man. We got to get you this one, and guess what? The next one gonna be for them. Not this one for you guys, and the next one gonna be for somebody else. We're gonna pay homage to the guys before us, and we're gonna just have something to keep playing for.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, overcoming that hump, right? And we know how great y'all build it throughout the regular season. Now it's like, okay, like in order to get that road to the dome, we got to take step 1 first and win that first round playoff game. And y'all done that. And what does it really mean to win a game in the fashion like that, to finish it, to overcome that hurdle?
That's huge, Jace. Listen to me, it's huge, man. This team is battle tested. We didn't play no soft schedule. Right, we played a tough schedule. We opened up with Riverside. We had Eleanor week 2, but we had St. James come home. We had St. Charles Catholic come home. We had Homeville come home. We went to Dutchtown, right? We went on the road on a short week after homecoming and went to Thibodaux, man, and took a tough loss. These kids are battle tested, man, and it's a true testament of the will of not quitting, right? They didn't give up, man. They didn't give up. And that's just, that defines my team, man. We're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. I wish we was the same team in week 4, week 3, but we're not. We're dealing with a lot of injuries. A lot of these kids played with injuries tonight, man. And that showed me just the grit that these kids have, man, and the will to win and the want to win, man. And we just need to, heal up this weekend, ice up these bumps and these bruises, and man, just get ready for a great Southside team, man. And and just prepare, man. We just got to make sure that we're prepared and continue that energy and bring that winning with us next week as we get on the road.
Yeah, I meant to ask you about that. Kind of led into my next question, but your early thoughts on Southside. Like you said, I know the way it ended is like, man, let me enjoy this for a second and let me get my heart rate back after a game like
Look,
that.
usually we say 24 hours, Jace, but in the playoffs you only get 12. Right?
Yeah,
In the playoffs you
right.
only get 12. So 12-hour rule.
Yeah.
We're gonna meet as a staff in the morning. But knowing the history of the head coach of Southside, he's known for playoff wins. He's known for championship at Manny. I'm a West St. John guy. I'd have been on the West St. John staff. I'd have been there. We know what he's capable of and the things that he can create, right? So you respect that. They're a fairly new school, so they got a lot of energy and a lot of things behind them, man. A lot of resources, man. But the biggest thing with us is, we see that they put up a lot of points. We just need to figure out what their weaknesses are, attack their weaknesses, and figure out how we slow down his strength, vice versa, man, and do it with our team, continue using what's working for us and get better with that didn't work for us. We didn't play a clean game. We didn't play a clean game tonight. We had a lot of penalties, man. So, we're able to survive, but how much longer can we, move on with those penalties? So, our kids know that. We're aggressive team that's gonna come with it. Those penalties come with being aggressive. A lot of people never seen us play before. But we just need to clean it up, man, and try to get as much people healthy as possible to go on the road and get this dub.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Southside, Jess Curtis does a great job with the Sharks. His championship pedigree at Manny, and it's gonna be a dogfight. Like y'all. I mean, I know that you have one of the best offensive lines in the state, and I know they're gonna be tough and physical. Like you mentioned, it's gonna be one of those games. Like whoever wins it is gonna win it, but might be banged up along the way. But that's what it is, playoff football. And like you mentioned, Coach, final thoughts.
That's football. That's Louisiana football, man. It's physical, especially down south. It's physical. You're gonna get bumps and bruises, man. And that's what we're going on week 12 right now, man. And sometimes we just gotta swallow, take a hard swallow and strap up and do it all over again, man. And do it all over again and keep fighting, man. I think these kids got a lot left in the tank. They kind of looked a little tired last week. It's hard to get kids to do this for 15 weeks, man. It's hard to get adults to do it for 15 weeks. We're tired. We're mentally tired. We're
right.
tired. So I think they got a lot left in the tank, man. And I just got to find ways to keep tapping into that. Me and my staff have to find ways to tap into, keep pulling out of these kids, man, and just keep celebrating these kids and us keep bonding, man. We're gonna have to find a way to win next week on the road. It's our first. We've been on the road in the playoff year 2, but we just got to find the will to win, man. So it's gonna be a tough matchup for us. It's gonna be a tough week, man. But I have faith in these kids, man. They're hungry, man, and I'm scared to see what it looks like when you try to take food from them.
Oh yeah. That's when you're most desperate, and that's dangerous, for any football team. And but congratulations on the playoff win, Coach. And like you mentioned, in order to get to the mountaintop, you got to take that first step up the mountain first. Yep. So and that's what y'all did tonight. So congratulations on the win, Coach. Go enjoy it. And like you mentioned, that 12-hour rule, start getting ready for Southside next week, Coach.
Yes, sir, Jace. I appreciate everything y'all do, man. Keep doing what you guys do.
Absolutely. We'll see you at the bowl game at the end of the year, but after maybe that run to the dome, we'll see y'all.
Hey, indeed, Jace, man. I'll be there, man. I'll be a tired coach, man. If this thing take us to New Orleans, that's where we're gonna be at. I'll, celebrate in New Orleans and then come back and come work, for these kids. Give them an opportunity to try to get more in life.
Absolutely, Coach. Go enjoy it. Thanks so much, Coach Tyler Lewis. Yes, winning head football coach tonight at Terrebonne. Huge win for the Tigers in their program. Appreciate Coach Tyler Lewis for spending some time with us. We go from one coach in Division I non-select to another coach in Division I non-select, and Coach Ryan Antoine from Westgate. Coach, it's been a minute. What's been going on, Coach?
What's going on, man? Been watching you guys from afar, man. So just, a little tired tonight. Been a long day, but excited for the win for the guys.
Oh, absolutely. Huge win, Coach. And you got it done. Even though that talk, and I'm sure you listened to Coach Tyler Lewis, I think he's still trying to get his heart rate down. They had to win in overtime and survive that one tonight to win that football game. But y'all took care of business. Y'all won the football, was it 49-14 tonight against Airline?
Yeah. Our kids played well, jumped out on them early, executed real well. Probably one of the best games we played so far all year. Played a strong airline team, and our kids played well. Our kids flew around, had fun, and we got to see the fruits of our labor tonight, and was real proud of them for that.
Absolutely, like you mentioned, I know there was a lot of press around this game. I know my buddy Spencer. I know he's with the LHSAA Network, and that was the LHSAA Network game of the week. And I know there was a big game, like you mentioned. Airline has a really great wide receiver. I mean, Kenny Darby, the LSU commit. Talk about how the game plan defensively and trying to slow down. Obviously, a talented wide receiver like him.
Oh yeah, I feel like Tyron Walker, our defensive coordinator, him and his staff, did a great job tonight. I feel like we was able to go out there and contain him. For the most part, we had actually lined up a freshman, true freshman on him all night.
Okay.
Kids Dyer Stokes. Matter of fact, the Kids Dyer Stokes had an interception for a touchdown the first series of the game for us. Just a very tough, hard nosed kid who's going to be a big time player for us. Like I say, so he can't, he has no fear. I mean, so we kind of played him right well with that. Brock Mitchell, our basically our Swiss Army knife. He plays quarterback, plays receiver, plays
Mhm.
tight end, does it all. He had a big game tonight. Scored 2 touchdowns. Kate Lancelin also had a big night, sophomore.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he scored 3 touchdowns. Noah Antoine was really efficient tonight. I think it was like 6'11" with over like 270 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Mhm.
So I mean, in our defense, like we played real well. Like we gave up 2 touchdowns at the towards the end of the game. Like
Yeah.
I said, but it was a we took care of business early, and like I said, it was a running clock, going into the third quarter, like 49-7, I think what it was, and they scored another touchdown a little bit later on, and I don't feel like we played a good second half. I think we only
Mhm.
scored 1 touchdown, with the running clock, but we weren't efficient. We weren't
Right.
we weren't hitting on all cylinders, and we kind of let off the pedal. And I know,
Mhm.
going to the tougher teams that we'll be playing on, you can't better do that. You got to better put 4 quarters of football together. So we definitely left some meat left on the bone. So we got to make sure that we just keep on working, keep on doing what we need to be doing, and just keep executing.
Absolutely, Coach. And then we're going to go and talk a little bit about your next round playoff matchup. And yeah, I mean Ruston. I mean, but it's a team that you are familiar with. Y'all played them in the playoffs last year and really gave them a great run at it. And it was a close game. But Coach, talk about really the guy. You've always had guys that played multiple roles and on offense and on defense and different roles. Going back to the state championship game, state championship team that you had at Westgate. Just what do you preach when these guys playing multiple roles, playing multiple positions, and just kind of diversifying themselves as football players? Because you've always had a lot of guys that can do multiple things.
Yeah, I mean, you play football. You're a football player. We
Mhm.
play positionless football at Westgate High School.
Yeah.
We don't have a quarterback. We got that's the second guy that touches the ball. So we
Mhm.
got guys that go around there and they can play everything because we want our kids more marketable. For recruiting purposes. So if you're
Mhm.
looking for a safety, looking for a linebacker, looking for whatever, those kids know how to do everything because they're football players first. You grow up playing football when you're a youngster, you play all over the place. And so we always try to bring it back to the youth and not let those kids specialize in too much stuff. When they get to college and do those things, they can specialize and play a lot of different places. But, we got a lot of kids playing ball at the next level, and they've been able to attribute to be able to play multiple roles, and play multiple positions. And I feel like that's something that we do well. So like I say, Brock Mitchell, Kate Lancelin, Kamen
Mhm.
Crockham, Shaden Lee, these are all sophomore kids. Chance Archangel, they all play all over the place, and they're football players, and they just help out wherever it needs to be. And I think that's always been a big key point for us because it's hard to defend us because there's guys that can do everything.
Right, as mentioned, I mean, every opposing coach is like, "How to prepare?" I mean, he's lined up here, he's lined up here. Like I mean, it makes
Right.
it so tough for opposing defenses and really opposing offense to prepare for that. But coach, really, I mean, it's always you playing your best football at the right time. And right now, y'all have definitely y'all took care a lot the last couple of games in district. I mean, right now, I believe y'all have won what was it now? Is that 6 in a row, 7 in a row
Right.
now?
Yeah, 6 in a row. 6 in a row.
6 in a
Yes, sir.
row. So yeah, just about how the team has performed. I know y'all played a really tough early part of your schedule this season, but how the team has been able to play the last couple of games and get on that streak.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do it for. You don't like playing a cupcake schedule because it gives you a false sense.
Mm-hmm.
Going out there and playing a strong Lake Charles College prep team and and getting out of there with a win and then coming back and playing the south side of LCA, STM and the Turlins program, that are all, still in it, that are still playing. Most of them had, first round buys. Our latter half of the schedule wasn't that strong, but it prepared us and was able to fine tweak and get better in a lot of different areas. So that's kind of why we built our schedule like that, and it's also to get us playoff ready. We knew,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we it didn't matter where we were seated wise. We just want to be playing the right football at the right time and not have a false sense of who we are. And then all of a sudden, you get hit in the mouth and you don't know how to respond because you're not used to playing tough football and tough quality teams. Airline's a tough program. We
Yeah.
lost to them last year, and got beat pretty handily at their place,
Mm-hmm.
and so we felt like it was it was personal, to be honest with you. Them coming, not they're coming to our place, and we can play them at our place. We were extra little amped up, extra little juice for this game, and we wanted to come out there when we knew we had to start fast. We knew they could score a lot of points. So for us to go out there and and jump on them, and like it was like 21-0 like in the first couple of
Yeah.
minutes of the game, and to just keep it rolling. And like I said, and for the defense, to play as strong and hold those guys that put up a lot of points and to contain, the receiver kid that that you live out, because their coach does an amazing job of
Mm-hmm.
finding ways to get him the ball,
Yeah.
and they line him up everywhere. So we had to do a lot, to try to, contain that and still stay sound everywhere else. So I feel like we did a good job of that tonight, and just one of the better performances that we've had all year.
Right, and you've always had great players as well. I mean, Kayshawn, and the list goes on and
Right,
on. But about trying to, he's going to get his plays, he's going to get his
right.
yards. Also trying to minimize the damage, and y'all did that tonight. But I'm glad that you point out last year y'all did lose to them last year. But it's kind of like turned exactly the tables around. I mean, y'all lost last year 42-16, and y'all defeated Airline 49-14. So kind of
Right.
similar type of score. And how much was it like? Did you even have to preach it to the guys, like in revenge, or is just like kind of naturally, like if you're not motivated to play this game after what happened last year, I mean, there's only so much I can do, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we lost a real good senior class last year. But the majority of those guys, Jabari Antoine, Davian
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, they were banged up pretty bad. They didn't play in that game, so
Right.
we played all the guys that were freshmen. We had to play our running back Tobias Garden at quarterback, because we didn't have a quarterback to start the game off, and then so
Mm-hmm.
we had to play freshman Noah Antoine, freshman Brock Mitchell, in a lot of those spots, and that's a tough environment to play against. And I mean, Airline, had one of the best quarterbacks probably ever,
Yeah, Will
playing,
Taylor.
and they had weapons all over the place. And I mean, they put a pretty good whipping on us. So now it wants to see, have we got better as a program? Have we put ourselves in a position to where we can compete against these guys? And there's a good measuring stick from last year. And for our
Mm-hmm.
guys to go out there and do what they did tonight, let us know that they're getting better and they're believing in what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, when you got that matchup and you kind of figure out who you're going to play, and figure out all the seating and all that, and you drew Airlines, like, man, look at my chops, get revenge on them, and now it just seems like this familiarity continues, because we talked about Airline and how they ended the season last year, but now you got to play Ruston. The team that did that 2 years ago, but Ruston's number one seed. They went to the Superdome last 2 years. They won it 2 years ago. But talk about, I mean, I know you're enjoying this win, obviously a huge win for y'all tonight against Airline, but I know it's kind of like what Coach Lewis said, it's not really even a 24-hour rule. It's kind of like a 12-hour rule because of the playoffs, but surviving and advancing. But what are your early thoughts on Ruston and the challenge that the Bearcats provide for y'all?
I mean, they're not the number one seed for nothing. I mean, they're playing in that district that they're playing with West Monroe and Neville and Alexandria and Washita. I mean, they've been playing, a gauntlet, type season. So we just got to go out there and just go focus, and just enjoy another week of us guys playing football, another week of preparation. Russ, and I'm sure they watched us tonight. You know, they were able to rest and get their guys healthy. So it's just us, you know, having to take that trip. Once again, 2 years ago, you know, we felt like, you know, we had our opportunity, we had our chances. It was 20-18.
Mm-hmm.
We actually got the 2-point conversion, and then we were lining up for kickoff, and all of a sudden get it called back. So it was
Yeah.
20-20 at one point in time. You know, even with that, and even in that game, we didn't get Jabari Antoine, our quarterback, his junior year until halftime because he had broke his collarbone, so I didn't let him play until after
Right.
half. You know,
Right.
in that situation. So I feel like, you know, we're in a better situation health wise. We're, you know, we got some kids that can play, and I mean, right now our guys are just going out there and just playing football. You know,
Mhm.
the seating stuff and all that's fine and dandy. That's, you know, which is Jay, that's for you guys to talk about and get that done. When they call hike, nobody cares nothing about that. Let's go play
Oh yeah.
football, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I mean, a couple years ago, your team was not intimidated at all. I mean, y'all were right there, had a chance to win the football game, and even a couple years ago, y'all won a state championship going through in the car and going through Warren Easton and doing that. So I know y'all not going to back down from Ruston. I know they know the same thing, but you know, a lot of players, even though they were, you know, a lot of your seniors were like sophomores then, but they were still part of
Right,
that
right.
trip, and they experience it, and how much you think that really gives them an advantage, knowing that they've seen it and knowing that, okay, like we can play these guys and we can beat them and at their home field, because y'all are a couple plays away from doing that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the itinerary is gonna stay the same. You know, I mean, we kind of got
Mhm.
a feel for what we do, and we try to always usually take. We didn't do it this year, because we switched our schedule up because we was playing Calvary before that, and we switched it up to Southside. But we
Yeah.
usually always try to take a trip up north early in the year just to kind of get that feel for it, because you know, in the playoffs, at some point in time, you're gonna have to take a trip. You know, more than likely up north. You know,
Yeah.
and go play one of those top teams. You know, in the state up there. So we're familiar with it. We'll keep our same routine going. And like I say, it's a tough program. You know, Ruston's a powerhouse program. Ruston's a team that knows how to win. You know, and they say that they're going to be bigger than us. You know, so we just got to go out there and focus, stay healthy, and try to stay in this game as much as we can.
Well, I mean, knowing with the early start of the season, I mean, y'all played some more tough teams. All right, some of the like really three of the best teams in the state, I mean,
Right.
back to back to back, and I'm sure that's really helped you for the playoffs. You know, played LCA, Turlings, and St. Thomas More. Coach, I appreciate your time as always, as well. Any final thoughts on the win? How big of it was to get revenge on the Vikings from last year, and just any overall thoughts on the win tonight and the home crowd and just the atmosphere tonight.
No, just proud of my guys. Our guys went out there and went have fun. I mean, our kids go through a lot on a daily basis. It's a lot to get our kids to have fun on a Friday night and just play. So finally got our kids to have a chance to just go out there and play and do a great job, and just super proud of them. But now it's time to focus, take tomorrow off, and get ready to go back on Sunday and be ready prepared, and better take a trip up north and go play a tough Russian ball club.
Survive in advance. I know you're not going to take any day or any week. I know the team's not going to take any day or any week for granted for sure. Go enjoy it. Enjoy the week. And I tell you what, I know the Bearcats are definitely not going to take y'all lightly. I know that for a fact. So go enjoy the victory, Coach, and looking forward to hopefully catching up with you next week. That means the good things happening next week when you see me.
All right, Jason, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach Ryan Antoine, head coach at Westgate High School, victorious head football coach tonight as they get the job done over Airline 49-14. Appreciate Coach Antoine so much for jumping on board. One of the best young coaches in the state. Won a state championship a couple years ago. What a road that they did to go through that. And to win that state championship, if you remember, I mean, they had to go and beat Endicott, which was one of Bryce's best teams. And to win that game in the semis, get to Warren Easton, because I know Warren Easton was right there too. A lot of people are saying that it was their opportunity to win a state championship that year, and Warren and Westgate got the job done. You know, they had Danny Lewis, who was committed to play at Alabama. He had a great quarterback, a football team as well, a great football team, and Westgate has made some great runs. Really talented, really athletic. A lot of guys can play all over the football field. So. They lost to Ruston last 2 years ago, 2018. And I know for a fact, I mean, upset alert. Watch out for Westgate because they can make things interesting as they go up again and play Ruston. So appreciate Coach Tyler Lewis and Coach Ryan Antoine, for joining us on the show. We are over an hour, so we actually got to still go back to our high school scores around the state of Louisiana. I'll try to pull that up again. But that's what happens when you do the scores and you recap all the playoff scores. You'll have some coaches come in, so sometimes the scoreboard gets interrupted. But that was the last game I was telling you about. De La Salle gets a 45-14 win over Episcopal. That's the game I called tonight, and the Cavaliers able to get the job done and take care of business over the Episcopal Knights. I won't be calling any any more games this year for the Episcopal Knights as their season comes to an end. Let's see, Amy, they take care of business. Coach Powell saw them a couple weeks ago against Pine, and Amy gets a 59-20 win over Cohen to get the victory over the Hornets. We have Country Day put up a lot of points tonight over Beekman Charter. Beekman Charter did not score. Then they scored 86 points last week in the conclusion of the regular season, but Country Day was the one able to put points up tonight, 56-15 over Beekman Charter. We have Slaughter Charter. They were able to. It was a close game, but a big win there for the Knights. And every year, I mean, Coach Clarkson's done a great job with that program. They're winning playoff games, and they're getting better and better each and every year. Slaughter Charter gets a 21-17 win over Pope John Paul II. Survive and advance. That is what Slaughter Charter did. They got a really good fight for Coach Pickett and Pope John Paul, but it was Slaughter Charter that was able to prevail, get the victory. Holy St. Bernard pitched a shutout tonight against Thomas Jefferson, 47-0 over the Jaguars. Holy St. Bernard gets the job done, and they will survive and advance. North Lake Christian, Cameron Cassidy had himself a great game once again for the Wolverines. They won the football game 59-20 over St. Louis Catholic. Well, we had one defending state champion go down. Catholic New Iberia, well, their season continues. They took care of business. They defeated Glen Oaks 52-0. It was all Catholic New Iberia as the Panthers move on, and they'll take on. We'll talk about the playoff matchups after we go over all the scores. But Catholic New Iberia gets a 52-0 win over Glen Oaks. It was a close game. This went back and forth for a majority of that game, but Parkview Baptist able to get the job done, 42-28, just get enough breathing room to get the win over the Timberwolves. But Coach Ducote, the Parkview Baptist Eagles, they survive and advance, find a way to win the football game, and what we talked about with Tyler Lewis, 42-28. The Parkview Baptist Eagles get the job done. So Parkview Baptist getting the win, and a good win, first playoff win for Coach Ducote over there for the Eagles. We talked to Coach Metevia for a little bit before his phone died. He told me, he gave me a heads up that his phone might go dead on us, and the phone did die on us. So we did talk about a couple minutes, but congratulations to the Belaire Bengals. They win their first playoff game since 2003. In fact, my dad, Ron LeJeune, was the head coach at Belaire the last time the Bengals won a playoff game. So congratulations for the Bengals. I know it's been a long time coming, long time waiting for Belaire. Huge moment for them. Hopefully, we'll see if Coach Metevia comes back and joins us, but they do get the win tonight, 45-31 over Patrick Taylor. We did talk to him for about a brief minute before phone issues at the end. We did talk to Coach Sprunk at the very beginning of the show to start off the show. 41-0, Haynes Academy gets the win over Abramson Sci Academy. Abramson Sci Academy won the season for them, though. They were 1-9 last year, and for them to make the playoffs, kudos to Coach Jill Train and really the Commodores for a great season. But Haynes Academy, it's all about them. History for them as well. That is their first playoff win in school history. So congratulations to Coach Sprunk. Congratulations to the Yellow Jackets on getting the job done. After we're done, you can go back and check out that interview. But it was a great interview with Coach Sprunk. And that was huge for their program, huge milestone victory to get that first playoff win, 41-0 over Abramson Sci Academy. Congratulations to Coach Sprunk. Leesville, they get a 52-7 win over his former school, over Coach Sprunk's former school, the Kenner Discovery. Leesville able to get the job done. They'll prevail, but was able to outlast the Truman Indians 22-14. St. Michael, they win their first home playoff game in their new stadium this year, and the Warriors, I believe, able to pull away a little bit and give some breathing room in that third quarter, and the Warriors get a 35-12 win over Ranger. So a big win for St. Michael. Remember, they lost the playoff game last year at home, and this time they got revenge, and they got the job done. They'll survive, advance to round 2. Northside gets a playoff victory. This was a close game. I think Northside ended up going from behind and winning that football game 27-20 over LB Landry. Archbishop Rummel, they played Holy Cross, obviously a Catholic League rematch between Rummel and Holy Cross, and Rummel able to pitch a shutout 24-0 over Holy Cross. How about Captain Shreve? Just a tough draw there for Hammond. Captain Shreve's got a lot of offensive firepower, just like a lot of teams up in Shreveport do. They like to score the football and put up a lot of points on the scoreboard. But it was all Gators, all Captain Shreve, 61-21 as they went on the road and got the win over the Hammond Tornadoes. Like I said, final score 61-21. I know they got one of the best running backs in the state of Louisiana over there at Captain Shreve. So a team that can score a lot of points on offense. And you saw that there. Brother Martin, man, they had to survive this one. I heard it was a crazy finish, but Brother Martin was able to outlast Liberty. And Liberty, I knew this had a potential to be an upset because of what Liberty has done this year. They've gone and beaten some really good teams, and they defeated Zachary this year. So this is a really talented Liberty football team. They go up and make us up. They can go and make something happen. Lucas Hill, he was actually at the game. Might as well ask him about the game, right? But Lucas, appreciate it. Southeastern, hey, I got to look out for my Southeastern Lions, man. So Lucas does an awesome job. Talked about his Central Wildcats as well. They got the job done, so they'll survive in advance. A big win over Dutchtown tonight, and we talked about that with Roman, who was actually at our game covering for Gridiron Football. But Captain Shreve, the running back, had 4 touchdowns. He is a good one. I know Hammond had Coach Buckles does a really good job with the team, and he's really made some strides with the Tornadoes. But that's a tough act, to go against them and their running back and their offense, and it was just a tough draw, tough matchup for them. But appreciate that. Maybe a Gridiron Football Player of the Week nominee. 4 touchdown runs in the football game. So a big win there on the road for Captain Shreve to get the victory. I appreciate Lucas on the comment. He was actually at the game covering that game. So I do appreciate that. So Brother Martin, 17-16, able to outlast. Oh, man, Liberty. Liberty almost had their shot. They almost had a chance to win that football game. Jimmy Zachary, what a great first year he's had at the helm of Liberty to win that football game. Had a chance, but Mark Bonice, Brother Martin Crusaders, find a way. It doesn't matter how pretty, how ugly it looks. All it matters is score more than your opponent in advance the next week, because it's no tomorrow. It's win or go home, and that's why you got to love the playoffs. And Brother Martin does that. They'll live to play another day, and then they'll live to play next week. So that is what the saying goes, and they'll do that next week. St. Paul's, they take care of business. I think they jumped out in front on Pineville, and they get a 56-7 win over the Pineville Rebels. Justin Charles knows a friend of us over at Gridiron Football. Good first season, making the playoffs, leading the Rebels to the playoffs, but had to go up against Coach Sears and the St. Paul's Wolves, 56-7, your final score there tonight. Jesuit was all over McDonald 35 tonight, 46-7. It was all Ryan Manali and the Blue Jays as the Catholic League team. And the Blue Jays, even though they're the lower seed, they were able to get the job done and win the game and beat McDonald 35 to advance to the next round. How about this? West St. John, I was kind of surprised how lopsided this was. Remember, General Trask made the semifinals last year in the playoffs, and they had a run, to make it all the way to the semifinals. And West St. John, trying to get back to their glory days when they were winning state championships at the 1A level and competing for state championships. That's a huge playoff win. First big win for West St. John in probably quite some time to win the playoff game by that margin, 50-6 over General Trask. All right, let's see what else. Going down the list, Faraday, that's a sleeper team. Keep an eye on them in Division 4 non-select. That's the team that can make a run, 58-0 over Northeast, taking care of business there. East Louisiana does the same thing. They're a team covering them and calling game this year. They have some really good pieces. Caden Wilson, Ryan Moore. They're going to be. They're really dangerous, and when they're on, they are really dangerous to beat. This is about not making mistakes and playing clean football. When they do that, East Louisiana is really tough to beat. North Iberville, they win their first round playoff matchup. Remember, they lost at the end of the season to Ascension Christian, but they do bounce back in the playoffs in the first round against Arcadia, 53-6, flexing their muscles there. For North Iberville advancing to next round. So back-to-back years in their first 2 years of RC action, the Bears will win at least one playoff game, 53-6. Elton, I believe that's who North Iberville will play. We won't go and break down the second round matchups, at least talk about them a little bit. But Elton wins 36-14 McKinney Lemoyne. Once again, the state's leading rusher this year. He is a good back. If you want to know about a running back in the state of Louisiana to pay attention to for the rest of this year and to the next year, McKinney Lemoyne from Elton High School. He is the real deal. Make sure to go and check him out. He is a really special running back, only a junior. Let's see. West St. Mary. They get the playoff win. I believe that was they hosted Brazil, and the Wolfpack get a win, 28-22, survive in advance, move on to the next round. Grand Lake all over Montgomery, 61-12. Grand Lake was all over Montgomery Tigers. Montgomery's got a really good quarterback, Mason Jordan, and he's actually going to be playing in our bowl game at the end of the year. But it was all J.J. LeBeau. He's actually a Gridiron Football Player of the Week earlier this year, and the Grand Lake Hornets. They get the win, 61-12. It was all Grand Lake, and the Hornets will move on to the second round. Logansport will do the same thing. They had a Gridiron Football Player of the Week at quarterback as well in Keaton, their quarterback, as they win 44-0 over Varno to win their first round playoff matchup. Jonesboro Hodge, give a shout out to Coach Blankenship and the Tigers. Jonesboro Hodge gets a 44-20 win over North Central, go in advance to the second round. Homer had to outlast Franklin. It was only 21-20. But Homer, is going to set up that second round matchup. I believe Homer and Haynesville, that historic oldest rivalry in the state of Louisiana is Homer and Haynesville will get the playoff edition in the second round. Let's see. Church Point gets a 42-7 win over North Webster. Should set up a really good match between Church Point and, you guessed it, Lorville. Lorville gets a 28-6 win over Ville Platte, over the Bulldogs. Give a shout out to James Taylor. And how about that? They were 1-9 last year, and all Richwood did was host a playoff game this year and win their first round playoff game against Caldwell Parish. What a job for the Richwood Rams to have the turnaround season like they've had, and to win the football game tonight, 40-20, to advance to the second round of the playoffs. Manny and Red River. Really close game here between the Tigers and the Bulldogs, but Manny trying to get back to their winning ways or trying to adjust after Jess Curtis, after leading the program to heights of winning state championships over there at Manny. It was Manny that defeated Red River. Red River had a good season this year and last year won the district for the first time in such a long time last season. But it was Manny that won the football game tonight, 35-27. How about this for an upset? How about the Kaplan Pirates? Especially when they're going through this year. They had Coach Latif at the beginning of the year, thinking that he was going to be their head coach. He was going to be back and then to make a replacement. And all they did was go on the road against Pine. Pine's a really good football team. I have a lot of respect for Coach Bradley Seal and the Raiders, but upset alert, upset in the first round. Kaplan goes on the road and beats Pine to end their season. So great win for the Kaplan Pirates, and that's why, hey, that's why you got to play the games. You don't play the games on paper. You got to go and win those football games, and Kaplan did just that. 33-18, great win there for Kaplan. Coach Spaffora, hey, I know they went 5-5 this year over there at Union Parish, but don't count out the Union Parish Farmers. They get a win 41-18 over Rayville, and should set up a great second round matchup. We'll talk about that as we go towards the end of the show. ERAF, they get a 56-0 win. We already talked about Mr. Landry posted the comment there. 10-0, 10-0 for the season. I appreciate that, Lucas, reposting the stream. Yeah, make sure to repost and make sure to share it out if you're watching. Appreciate everybody that's liked, shared. Make sure to share it out. Really appreciate that. Like I said, we'll have this show on Friday night, and we'll have a Monday show talking about the second round playoff matchups. But 56-0. We talk about Jack Landry, the quarterback over there at ERAF. He is going to be playing their Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game at the end of the year. Really excited about that. They continue their special season, going undefeated for the first time in school history. They'll advance to the second round after a 56-0 win over Bogalusa. Mansfield gets a 42-12 win over Winfield. Good win there for Mansfield. The Wolverines will advance. They'll play with Marksville. Marksville gets a 48-14 win over Patterson. So Marksville gets a 48-14 win. Good win for Coach Harper and the Tigers. 48-14. They defeat Patterson. Another seeding upset, St. Helena. And not only they upset it, Avoyles, they put it on Avoyles. 58-26. St. Helena gets the playoff victory. 58-26. That was just a bad draw there for the Avoyles Mustangs, whose season ends after hosting a playoff game. Northwest shuts out South Terrebonne tonight, 45-0. In Northwest, we know they've had some even double-digit seeds a lot of times. They made some deep playoff runs, and who knows? Coach Chris Edwards, you never know. They might make a deep playoff run once again, but 45-0 over South Terrebonne. Franklin Parish, we know how dangerous they are. We talked to Coach Burnett last week on the show after their big win over Tioga. Carrying that momentum, they're going to be really dangerous. They're probably as dangerous as a 7 seed that there is in the state of Louisiana. 62-6. When you have a quarterback that's committed to LSU, and you got a running back that's got offers from LSU and a lot of big-time programs, they're going to be pretty tough to beat, I got to admit. But 62-6 as Franklin Parish gets the dub tonight. All right, I get some more scores. Bruley gets a win over Albany tonight, 42-6, 9-1 on the season for Bruley. They improved their record to 10-1 and they advanced to play West Feliciana. Won a game basically similar type of score, 49-6 over Bossier. How about Coach Terry Miner? His first season as a head coach at West Feliciana, and he wins a playoff game. And who knows? They can probably get a little bit of a run. That's going to be an interesting game next week against Bruley. How about Opelousas? Harry Coleman, former LSU Tiger. Harry Coleman, linebacker. He was a head coach at Peabody, and he became the head coach at Opelousas. when Jimmy Zachary left Opelousas for Liberty. And what a win for Coach Coleman, 13-0 over Pearl River. Another seeding upset as well, going on the road for Opelousas and getting that win, 13-0 for the Tigers. Cecilia, the defending state champions in that division. When we talk about Division II non-select, they'll continue their title defense with a 56-7 win over the Carroll Bulldogs. So Cecilia will survive and advance, move on to the next round. Another seeding upset. Call this one. I had Wassman actually defeating Minden, and there you go. Wassman defeating the Crimson Tide 35-14. Wildcats go on the road, get the job done. Big upset there in the first round. Wassman over Minden. Plaquemine, no upset here. It was all Green Devils, 55-0 over the Livonia Wildcats. Plaquemine also a Trinity pick to do a lot of damage, make a lot of noise in Division 2 non-select. Franklinton gets a 51-14 win over Rain. We know about the season they had last year over Franklinton, number 1 seed. The playoffs, they went all the way to the state championship game. Maybe a little bit more under the radar this year because maybe they're not the number 1 seed, but still pretty dangerous with Jacob Crane at quarterback. 51-14, Franklin gets a win over Rain. Okay, let's talk about Jennings. Jennings gets the job done over St. Martinville, puts the season to the end for the Tigers. 56-18, Jennings gets the win over St. Martinville to advance to the next round. 16-17 matchup. If you catch it, I think this game was also streaming under the lights earlier today. But the Ritter gets a 35-16 win over Eunice. So the Dragons get the job done. They win the football game 35-16 over Eunice. So congratulations, Coach Parmley and the Dragons on getting the win. All right, let's see. How about Mandeville? It was a great first season for Lowell Northeast over there at Thibodaux, but it was all Mandeville. Mandeville probably more used to playing in the playoffs and these type of games, and that experience shows with a 48-27 win over Thibodaux. Good first season for Lowell Northeast, but it ends tonight against the Mandeville Skippers, 48-27. West Monroe, under Coach Dodger, what a season the Rebels have had. A dangerous player in 2-5A, obviously, and a team that can definitely make a run. Went totally shot me. They make it to the Superdome. That I'm really high on this West Monroe football team. But West Monroe, they win. They got a lot of talented players over there at South Lafourche, and they won the football game 49-21. Big win there for Coach Dodger's first playoff victory over there as West Monroe's head football coach. Parkway, they won the football game against Covington 51-30, a little bit of a higher scoring game there. Only one loss on the season. I think they ended the season with a loss against Evangel, but they bounced back with a win over Covington 51-30. Again, survive and advance. That's a common theme as we got throughout the show. Hoddenville gets a 52-39 win over Slidell. So Coach Boyne gets the job done over Slidell. Slidell's a really talented team, probably at one of the more improved teams from last year to this year. And you see that they were in this football game for a little bit, but Hoddenville gets the win 52-39. This is a close one as well. I knew this was going to be one of the more intriguing first-round matchups just seeing them on paper. But Ouachita Parish, and they're a team that's definitely better than what their record may indicate. They've lost some really close games to those teams in 2-5A, which you can probably say is probably the best district in the state of Louisiana this year. Sam Mall, Cooper Babin, the Gators are a really talented team. It's going to be a really good game, and it delivered. It was a great game right here. Ouachita Parish 24, Sam Mall 21. So Ouachita Parish edging out Sam Mall. It was a close battle, close game. Tough to make that travel up there, up in Ouachita Parish, but 24-21, the Lions prevail over the Gators. Zachary gets the job done. I know it's been kind of like I guess a down season when you talk about Zachary and their expectations, but I think that's what David Burton likes right now. A lot of teams kind of underestimating the Broncos, and that's when they're dangerous. And who knows, they can get on the run and do not overlook a David Burton Zachary team. They'll figure it out, and they win the football game against a really good Salmon football team that won district this year, 48-15. Zachary moves on after winning the game, the playoff game at the Corral. East Ascension, like I said, when they're on, East Ascension is on, and they look really good. They defeated West Ouachita 57-17. How about Coach Mathern, his first playoff victory as well over there at East Ascension? Congratulations to Coach Mathern. We just had Roman on the show earlier. He talked about it. Central with a 52-24 win over Dutchtown Central. They are trying to plant their flag. They're trying to defend their title defense after winning Division I non-select state championship last year with David Semino as the coach. Step one, they did defeat the Dutchtown Griffins. We'll have more about that game. GridironFootballUSA.com. We just, if you heard, we actually talked to both these two coaches, these winning coaches. First, Terrebonne. They get a 27-24 win in overtime over Natchitoches Central. We talked about it. Natchitoches Central had a chance to win the football game in regulation, but the time ran out. There was a sack. They couldn't get the field goal team on to kick the game-winning field goal. Time ran out. They went to overtime, and it was Natchitoches Central had to settle for a field goal, and then Terrebonne ended up winning the football game on the game-winning touchdown from Quandre Diggs. That was the game-winning touchdown for Terrebonne, 27-24. And like you mentioned, I think it's the first playoff win for Tyler Lewis. And that this is a team that has legit aspirations to go to Poydras Street, go to Superdome. They really do. And the first step is you got to win that first playoff game, and they did. And it wasn't pretty, but hey, style points do not matter in the playoffs. It's about scoring more than the other team does, finding a way to win, and that is what Terrebonne did. And if you have to save your worst right now, and then just get better and play better. You have a chance to do that. You have a chance to be better if you win the football game. You obviously don't if you do. If you lose. So that is what Terrebonne did. They found a way to win that football game, and hey, find a way to win. That's what matters at this time of year. Ryan Antoine, he was on the show as well. If you missed it, Coach Antoine was on the show to talk about the Westgate win. But Westgate, they won revenge. You remember Airline ended their season last year, but this time around, Westgate won revenge when that was 16 versus 17. They had a chance to host that playoff game. Westgate won their revenge, and they got it 49-14. Big opportunity now. After you played the team that ended your season last year, you got to play now the team that ended your season 2 years ago in Ruston. So we'll talk about that as we end the show tonight. 49-14, Westgate. Oak Grove, we had Owen Layton and Ryan Gregory. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Owen was our Gridiron Football Player of the Week this week for Oak Grove for Gridiron Football. And he had an inspiring performance, really emotional performance. Owen lost his grandmother in Week 10 against Ouachita Christian. And all he did was, on the day he lost his grandmother, he had over 230 yards of offense and 2 touchdowns. He had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. So to beat Ouachita Christian. So go check out that interview with Owen. Just a great young man. He's a great football player for Oak Grove, but just a great young man. And go and check that out if you haven't. And you really appreciate kids like that a lot. So that was a great interview. Go and check that out. And Oak Grove trying to win. I think this will be like their 5th state championship in 6 years. So Ryan Gregory trying to continue that winning tradition, that championship winning tradition over there at Oak Grove. Great season for Prairieville, but it comes to an end tonight, 52-14 to Southside. Jess Curtis winning the playoff game and advancing to the next round. A lot of respect for Coach Schmidt over there at Prairieville for what they were able to do, the strides they've taken from year 1 to year 2 at 5A. They didn't have the JV accumulation period where you can just go and play a couple years and then go to varsity action. They went right into the deep end. They just dove in the deep end and took their lumps last year, and they defeat a lot of teams. They went 5-5, I believe, in the regular season, and they lost that first playoff game to Southside. But just to get to the playoffs, huge step for this Hurricanes football program. And guess what? I think the best is yet to come for this Prairieville football team. But I could say the same thing for Southside. I think the best is yet to come for Jess Curtis and Southside. They take another great step by winning that first playoff game, advancing to the second round. Man, I feel bad for Karen Crow. You play Acadiana in week 10, and you give them all you got. You lose, I think, 21-14. And guess what? You got to play them again a week later in this rivalry game. But Acadiana finds a way. I'm sure Acadiana wasn't thrilled either that they had to play Karen Crow again. But that's just what the luck of the draw happens to be. And once again, a touchdown game. It was 21-14 in week 10. Now it's 29-21 Acadiana in week 11 in first round of the playoffs. Karen Crow is definitely going to be great in the future. Carson Gursey is a quarterback to keep an eye on. He might be the best quarterback in the state for his class. So, Chance Babineau, great career at Karen Crow in the wide receiver position. But Acadiana, Coach Dotson, in his first year as the head football coach at Acadiana, they get the job done. They win the football game 29-21. And the Wrecking Rams are going to be dangerous. With their championship pedigree, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs moving forward. How about Barb? Barb gets the victory. Their offense is really good. They can score a lot of points. Jalandon Gray is a great quarterback to keep an eye on. But the Barb Buccaneers, I actually called this upset. I actually picked Barb to beat Northwood of Shreveport, and they do get the upset tonight. 49-21. Northwood just could not slow down the Barb Buccaneers. So happy to say I don't look like quite an idiot, and I did get this upset right. I did pick Barb to beat Northwood of Shreveport. And, congratulations to the Buccaneers on getting the job done, getting the victory. St. Thomas More gets a win over Lafayette, 41-7. That's what's up. What is the legend? I said the legendary bowl when you got the two winningest coaches in Louisiana going against each other next week. We'll talk about that. The Goat Bowl. I guess you could call it the Goat Bowl next week, but we'll talk about that as we go through. Donaldsonville, their defense is legit. They got a really great defense, a really great defensive end. That's only the Caleb Green guy to keep an eye out on. But Coach Darnell Lee and the Tigers get a playoff victory over Westlake, and they shut out a good offense over there at Westlake, 18-0. River Oaks defeats Newton County in the MAIS playoffs, 42-12. Southern Lab, they played on Thursday, I believe, and they get 48-6 over Central Catholic. Jerry Bolly getting him healthy. Watch out for the Southern Lab Kittens. So when you get him healthy, they're going to make a run. That is for sure. St. Mary's gets a 30-14 win over St. John. I was at that game, covering that game for Gridiron Football. Really impressed by Coach C. Sprunk and the Tigers. They came in the record with a 5-5, and he said in his post-game comments that they did not look like a 5-5 team, and they showed it on the football field. They controlled the flow of the game. It was 10-7 entering the fourth quarter of that St. Mary's game, but St. Mary's put up 20 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to pull away and get the victory over St. John. St. John, great season. Coach Trosclair, what a season for the Eagles. Their first home playoff game, I believe, since 2011. So great strides for the program Coach Trosclair is doing for his alma mater. He's doing an awesome job of that program. But season comes to an end on Thursday night as they lose to St. Mary's, and St. Mary's will live for another day, another game next week. And then Frederick Doug. These are the Thursday scores. John F. Kennedy. They take care of business over Frederick Douglass, 55-0. Bonneville. Again, it didn't really make sense why they were they weren't the higher seed, but Bonneville defeated Riverdale in Week 10, and looks like that Riverdale did not get their revenge. So Bonneville did a great job being a good team twice. Andre Anthony, former LSU Tiger, former Endicott Cougar, leading the way as the head coach and leading the team to the Bonneville Bruins to a playoff win for the first time in, I think, in a long time. Bonneville has won a playoff game. Kudos there to Coach Anthony for the job he's doing this year. And I know there will be a game play. There's one playoff game that needs to happen. Carver and Livingston. That game will be played on Saturday. So we'll have the full entire bracket done by tomorrow, by Saturday. So that'll be the only game that has yet to be decided, has yet to play. And those are all your scores. That's your Louisiana High School scoreboard first round playoff edition here. So now those are all your scores from around the state of Louisiana high school football playoffs. So we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, since all the scores we just went over all the scores, we talked to 4 different coaches today. It's time basically to talk about a little bit. Now we'll expand it more as we go into it, but we'll give away the second round playoff matchups. What it will be the matchups next week. We'll talk about those matchups here on Ballin in the Boot. Once again, want to give thanks to Tommy's Windows, a proud sponsor of the show. Tommy Kissinger, been in business for such a long time. You got to trust the exterior home improvement specialist, right? So if you need service, installation service, whether it's your doors, your siding, your windows, make sure to go to gotommys.com. That's GEAUX. Only, like I say all the time when I mention this, only one way, right way to spell go in the state of Louisiana. So gotommys.com. Over 20 years of experience. You can trust and replace your faulty windows, entry doors, siding, gutters, you name it. And they can also do porch screens, patio covers installed. They can get your patio looking great, looking sharp. So go to the best in the business, award-winning Angie's Super Service Award winners for the last 10 years. They're going on a little bit of a championship run themselves since 2016. So make sure to give them a call, 225-250-8808. We'll be back after these words from our sponsor, Tommy's Windows. And when we come back, we'll go over the second round playoff matchups at Louisiana High School football. We'll find out what all the second round playoff matchups are next week.
Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, locally owned and operated with over 20 years experience and dedicated to providing you with affordable options to transform any home or business. So call today, 225-250-8808. Go Tommy's, and you'll see the difference clearly.
Welcome back, guys, as we are going to close this thing out with about 15 more minutes left. So I appreciate everybody that's tuned in throughout the show, and I appreciate everybody that's been a part of it. So just gotta say, if you have a comment, if there's something we haven't gone over that we possibly could have gone over, make sure to comment in the comment section. Like I mentioned, we'll be here to about 12:30 tonight. So, like I mentioned, if you're watching this, whether you're basically, whether you're on Facebook watching this right now, YouTube, X, whatever you're watching us, if you can do us a solid as well, make sure to subscribe or follow or like whatever way necessary to help promote us and what we do. Make sure we do that here. So, all right, guys, we'll go over the second round. Like I mentioned on Monday, myself and Spencer Verrett, we'll kind of break down this kind of initial reaction to like a lot of the scores and everything that happened in week 1. And what we'll have a show about, we'll break down each bracket, and we'll go and dive deeper into these second round matchups. We'll preview all the matchups and kind of give our thoughts and probably predictions as what we see it, because our thoughts could vary, or thoughts can change depending on how the playoffs are looking and how the teams are performing. So it could vary, it could change, but that's why you play the games. That's why you got to play them out. So let's see what we can do here. Take this out. That's when you're producing your own show, you got a lot to kind of do, a lot to manage. So let's see if I can pull up the brackets here. That's what I'm trying to pull up for you guys. All right, let's see y'all can see this. Yep, y'all can see this. Okay, perfect. All right. So if it's not on there, because they don't update a lot of the brackets, I did write down the matchups just in case they didn't fill them in. But we're going to start with Division 1 non-select. So these will be the official matchups for the second round of the playoffs as we conclude the show tonight. And myself and Spencer Verrett will shout out as well. We'll have some more information about when it will be posted and everything, but we'll have a Monday show basically previewing all these matchups more in depth. But here are your matchups. Ruston will take on Westgate. We just talked to Coach Antoine. We talked about it as well. You probably saw that interview earlier and figured out that part. But Ruston and Westgate will play in round 2. And the game will be at Ruston as the number 1 overall seed, but a tough draw for Ruston as they defeated Westgate 2 years ago, but it was only 20-18. So they're very familiar with the Westgate Tigers. Terrebonne, hey, they survived in overtime, and they found a way to win that football game 27-21 over Natchitoches Central, find a way to win. Your prize, you got to take on Southside and Jess Curtis and the Southside Sharks. That'll be an 8 versus 9 matchup. The game will be played at Southside. Jess Curtis and Tyler Lewis going against each other. Southside, Terrebonne. That will be a second round playoff matchup. Central, after playing a Baton Rouge team, round 1 will take on East Ascension. So Central and East Ascension will play in round 2. Another time for Central. They don't have to leave the state of they don't have to leave the city of Baton Rouge, as Central will take on East Ascension in round 2. We have Zachary taking on Denham Springs. Same thing, same deal here. Denham Springs will host Zachary, but I know Brett Beard is thinking, oh, really? I mean, the first playoff game we got, we're the number 4 seed, having such a great season. What do we get? We have to play Zachary second round after a bye in the first round. It's just crazy what the high school playoffs are all about. But it really, really intriguing game there between the Zachary Broncos and the Denham Springs Yellow Jackets. That should be a great one. Destrehan, they'll host Ouachita Parish and the bomb side of the bracket. So Destrehan had the bye. Ouachita Parish, they are battle tested. They're not going to be intimidated by Destrehan after the 2-5A district they play in. But Destrehan will take on Ouachita Parish in round 2. Both Hahnville and Parkway both scored 50 points in their games, and they'll be playing against each other. Hahnville will take on Parkway. Game will be played at Parkway, 11 versus 6. And then we have Barb and West Monroe. Barb got the upset over Northwood Shreveport, and they'll play West Monroe. West Monroe, the higher seed, will host the Barb Buccaneers. West Monroe They'll play a really talented Barb offense that can score a lot of points. And then finally, Neville will take on Mandeville in the second round of the playoffs. Neville, as the number 2 overall seed, will host Mandeville after Mandeville went on the road and defeated Thibodaux, got that first round upset. So once again, Division I non-select, your matchups are Ruston Westgate, Terrebonne Southside, Central East Ascension, Zachary Denham Springs, Dutchtown Washita Parish, Hanville Parkway, Barb West Monroe, Neville Thibodaux. So those are your first round matchups in Division I non-select. So going to Division I select, might as well stay with the big boys here in Division I select. And the car, number 1 overall seed, they get the enjoyment of being the number 1 overall seed and having that bye. They now know is a team that they're familiar with. There's the Jesuit Blue Jays, and the car obviously took care of business, beat them earlier this year. They will have a rematch with the Jesuit Blue Jays in the second round of the playoffs. We have Evangel and St. Paul's. Pop Houston and the Eagles had that bye in the first week. Had the last spot to get the bye at the number 8 seed. And they'll play St. Paul's. Should be a great matchup. St. Paul's coming off a 56-7 win over Pineville, 8-9 there. Ash, Alexandria, after going to the state championship game last year, they will play Brother Martin. Brother Martin, they barely survived. And as Liberty had a chance to win that football game, but Brother Martin found the way to win that football game 17-16 to edge out the Liberty Patriots. That will be a matchup between Brother Martin and Ash, 12-5, with Ash, Alexandria hosting the Crusaders. Captain Shreve, after playing 61 points on the board against Hammond, guess what you have to win? You have to win a trip to play against Catholic High of Baton Rouge. The Bears will play their first playoff game in the second round against the Gators. Jamarce Platter, a really great running back for Captain Shreve. It'll be a great matchup between Jamarce Platter and Catholic High. So it'll be great. A lot of great running backs. Jaden Miles from Catholic, Platter over there at Captain Shreve. Hey, this could be an upset alert. We'll talk more about that on Monday. But St. Augustine, the number 3 overall seed, guess what you have to start off with? Acadiana, who's really dangerous as the number 14 seed. Acadiana gets the job done, 29-21 over Karen Crow, defeating the Golden Bears 2 weeks in a row. And now you got to take on St. Augustine Purple Knights. Great season under Robert Valdez, 9-1 on the season. Purple Knights will play against Acadiana to start their road to the Dome potentially. Archbishop Rummel, after shutting out Holy Cross, will take on Tioga. So it'll be Rummel versus Tioga, 11-6 in the second round. I call this the GOAT Bowl right here because of the two of the greatest high school football coaches of all time, especially in the state of Louisiana and perhaps in the country. The 2 winningest coaches of all time, J.T. Curtis, Jim Hightower. So St. Thomas More, John Curtis. How about that? Get your popcorn ready for that matchup in the second round. John Curtis will host St. Thomas More after getting the bye. Bonneville, they won the playoff game for the first time in a while under Andre Anthony. They'll play Terrebonne Catholic, number 2 overall seed after an undefeated season. Terrebonne Catholic will host Bonneville in the second round. So your Division I select playoff matchup second round, and the card Jesuit, St. Paul's Evangel Christian, Alexandria Brother Martin, Captain Shreve Catholic High, St. Augustine Acadiana, Archbishop Rummel Tioga, John Curtis St. Thomas More, and Bonneville and Turlings Catholic. Those are your second round Division I select playoff matchups. Now moving over to Division II. So Division II non-select. So here are your playoff matchups. North DeSoto, number 1 seed, will play DeRidder after DeRidder defeats Eunice 35-16. Jennings will take on Franklinton 8-9. Franklinton Jennings should be a great second round playoff matchups in Division II non-select. We have Plaquemine and Wassman. Remember, Wassman got the upset over Minden. They'll take on Plaquemine now in the second round of the playoffs. Cecilia and Lakeshore will take on each other in the second round. Cecilia trying to defend their state championship title from last year. Now they got Brent Endes and the Lakeshore Tigers in Titans in round 2. Belle Chase, number 3 overall seed, will take on Opelousas as the number 19 overall seed after Opelousas gets a 13-0 win over Pearl River. How about this? Another Baton Rouge matchup between West Feliciana and Bruley. Bruley, the number 6 overall seed. Both teams get the job done and will play each other. Bruley will take on West Feliciana. The game will be played at Bruley. How about this matchup? I think the winner of this game could go on a run. Franklin Parish against Lutcher, number 7 versus number 10 seed. So Franklin Parish will take on Lutcher in the second round of the playoffs. And then finally, the last matchup in Division II non-select, we have Northwest against Iowa. Northwest has made some deep playoff runs as double-digit seeds before, but Iowa undefeated in the number 2 overall seed. So those are your Division II non-select matchups. One more time. These matchups are as follows: North DeSoto against DeRidder, Jennings against Franklinton, Plaquemine against Wassman, Cecilia against Lakeshore, Belle Chase against Opelousas, West Feliciana against Bruley, Franklin Parish against Lutcher, and Northwest against Iowa. That's your Division II non-select playoff matchups in the second round. Going to Division II select, here it goes. St. Charles Catholic, after getting the bye, will take on Northside after getting the win over LB Landry. St. Michael will take on E.D. White. E.D. White, the number 8 seed, will host St. Michael after they won their first home playoff game in a new stadium. Mass and Prep will take on John F. Kennedy after John F. Kennedy took care of business in a rout 55-0 against Frederick Douglass. U High will take on Booker T. Washington up in Shreveport. U High will host Booker T. Washington. Lake Charles Prep will take on Leesville after Leesville won the football game 52-7. Lake Charles Prep, Leesville, that should be expect a lot of points on the scoreboard there. George, now this is the one matchup that has not been decided yet. George Washington Carver and Livingston Collegiate will play tomorrow at 7 o'clock at Pan Am. So that is the last playoff matchup that is yet to be decided. Vanderbilt Catholic will take on the winner of George Washington Carver and Livingston. Archbishop Shaw gets the bye. They'll take on Haynes Academy after Haynes Academy gets a 41-0 win over Abramson Sci Academy. Belaire gets their first playoff win since 2003 after defeating Patrick Taylor tonight. They will take on Loyola College Prep. Congratulations, you got the number 2 seed, Loyola College Prep Flyers. So here are your second round playoff matchups as follows. St. Charles Catholic takes on Northside. St. Michael will play E.D. White. Mass and Prep will host John F. Kennedy. U High will take on Booker T. Washington. Lake Charles Prep will take on Leesville. Vanderbilt Catholic will take on the winner of Carver Livingston Collegiate. Archbishop Shaw will take on Abramson Sci Academy. And Loyola Prep will take on Belaire. So those are your Division II select playoff matchups. We're going to go to Division III. Division III non-select. So here are your matchups in the second round. Gina will take on St. Helena, who took care of business over the 16 seed of Royals 58-26. Marksville will take on Mansfield after both those teams took care of business 8 versus 9 seed. Marksville will take on Mansfield in the second round. We have ERAF as they shut out Bogalusa. They'll take on Union Parish. Should be an intriguing second round matchup there with ERAF and Union Parish. ERAF will host the Union Parish Farmers. Kaplan upsets Pine in the first round. Kaplan will take on Kinder in the second round. Kinder coming off the bye and undefeated regular season. St. James will play Manny after Manny defeated Red River. St. James at number 3 overall seed and a favorite to win a state championship this year. Oak Grove will take on Richwood after both teams took care of their first round matchups. Louisville will take on Church Point 7 versus 10. And then Donaldsonville will, after shutting out Westlake, will take on number 2 overall seed Sterlington. So one more time here, your Division III non-select playoff matchups. Gina will take on St. Helena Collegiate Academy. We have Marksville taking on Mansfield, ERAF taking on Union Parish, Kaplan taking on Kinder, St. James taking on Manny, Richwood taking on Oak Grove, Loreauville hosting Church Point, and Sterlington hosting Donaldsonville. Those are your Division III non-select second round playoff matchups. Now let's go to Division III select. Looking at the select side of things, LCA, the number 1 overall seed, they will host Parkview Baptist in the second round. Bunkie will host Catholic New Iberia, defending state champions, in Division III select. Should be a good matchup in the second round. Dunham will take on Northlake Christian. They will host Northlake Christian 5 versus 12. Isidore Newman will take on Holy Savior Menard as the number 4 seed. Jules Sumner will take on Slaughter Charter 3 versus 14, as Jules Sumner Cowboys, after undefeated regular season, will take on the Slaughter Charter Knights. Calvary Baptist will play Country Day. Expect a lot of some points on the scoreboard there, 6 versus 11. Lafayette Renaissance will take on Amite after Amite won 59-20 over Cohen. De La Salle will play Notre Dame in the second round after their 45-14 win over Episcopal. So these are your second round playoff matchups in Division III select. LCA will host Parkview Baptist. Bunkie will host Catholic New Iberia. Dunham will host Northlake Christian. Isidore Newman will host Holy Savior Menard. Jules Sumner will host Slaughter Charter. Calvary Baptist will host Country Day. Lafayette Renaissance Charter Academy will host Amite. And Notre Dame will host De La Salle. So those are Division III select second round playoff matchups. And finally, let's go to Division IV. We go to Division IV non-select second round playoff matchups. Like I mentioned, oldest rivalry in the state in the playoffs. We have Haynesville taking on Homer in the second round. Jonesboro Hodge will take on Vinton at 9 versus 8 seed. Higher seeds win there. So this 5 versus 12. Logansport versus Welsh. 5 versus 12 matchup there. Grand Lake gets a 61-18 win over Montgomery. They'll take on Jeanerette. West St. Mary gets a 28-22 win over Bazille. They'll take on South Plaquemines. As we don't have any first-round upsets, seeding-wise, for Division IV non-select, Elton will play North Iberville. East Louisiana will take on Faraday. Should be a great second-round matchup between two athletic teams. West St. John will take on Mangum. Once again, these are your second-round Division IV non-select playoff pairings. Haynesville versus Homer. Haynesville will host. Vinton will host Jonesboro Hodge. Logansport will host Welsh. Jeanerette will host Grand Lake. South Plaquemines will host West St. Mary. North Iberville will host Elton. East Louisiana will host Faraday. And Mangum will host West St. John. So those are your second round Division IV non-select playoff pairings. And finally, our last bracket of the night to go over, Division IV select. Westminster Christian, number 1 overall seed. They'll take on Opelousas Catholic. This is a rematch from a game earlier this year in their district. This was a district rematch between these two teams, which was won by Westminster Christian. And we'll have St. Edmund. They advance to the next round as they'll take on Covenant Christian, 8 versus 9. Good playoff pairing right there. Ascension Catholic, they saw St. Mary's get the job done over St. John. That's who they'll play. So Ascension Catholic and St. Mary's in the second round. Catholic Point Capee will take on Westminster Christian Lafayette after the Chargers get the upset victory over Sacred Heart. So 4 versus 20 seed there for Westminster in the second round. Hamilton Christian gets a bye, and they get to play St. Frederick, 3 versus 14 seed there. Hamilton Christian will host St. Frederick. Kentwood gets revenge on Vermilion Catholic, the defending state champions. Vermilion Catholic, the first defending state champions to go down in the playoffs from last year. Kentwood will take on Ascension Episcopal in the second round. How about this matchup in the second round? This is usually a state championship game in the second round, but we have Ouachita Christian taking on Southern Lab in the second round. Get your popcorn ready with that one. Ouachita Christian will host that playoff game. And then finally, Riverside Academy will host Delta Charter, who gets the win over St. Martin's. So one more time, here are your Division IV select playoff pairings for the second round. Westminster Christian will host Opelousas Catholic. So not too much of a drive for Opelousas Catholic. The game will stay in Opelousas. Covenant Christian will take on St. Edmund. Covenant Christian will host the Blue Jays. Ascension Catholic will host St. Mary's. Catholic Point Capee will host Westminster Christian of Lafayette. So a good night for the Westminster Christians. Both teams advance in the second round. Hamilton Christian will host St. Frederick. We have Ascension Episcopal hosting Kentwood. Ouachita Christian hosting Southern Lab. And finally, Riverside Academy hosting Delta Charter. So those are your playoff matchups. Division IV select. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the show tonight. Appreciate everybody that's watched it throughout our show tonight. Can't thank everybody enough. Thank Tommy's Windows, a proud supporter of our show. And I appreciate all the coaches that came on the show today. Coach PJ Sprunk from Haynes Academy. We had Coach Tyler Lewis from Terrebonne. Even though it was for a hot second, we had Coach Metevia over there at Belaire. He came on the show to talk about their playoff win before his phone died. And then obviously Coach Ryan Antoine over at Westgate. Appreciate all the coaches that came and joined the show. And yeah, we'll have all the timestamps. We'll talk about all that. We'll have everything breaking down when we post this show. But you can go back, watch all those interviews, watch all the scores and all of that. Make sure to tune in on Monday. We'll have Spencer Verrett from the LHSAA Network. We'll break down all of the second round playoff matchups as we continue the road to the Dome. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to all of our channels. Make sure to follow us. Make sure to go to our website, gridironfootballusa.com. Thanks, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching the show and joining me today. We'll see you all next Friday night on another exciting edition of Ballin in the Boot. Enjoy your football weekend. Have a good night, everybody.